stop everything. Forget the results for a second. We just witnessed a voice battle so explosive, so musically gripping that it seems to have broken the internet, or at least broken the collective will of the remaining coaches. We're talking about Leyton Robinson versus Manny Costello, tackling Chris Stapleton's Think I'm in Love with You, the performance itself. Absolutely incredible. They had chemistry, they had power, and they gave us moments of sheer vocal brilliance. Leighton hit those piercing high notes, and Manny delivered that undeniable, smoky, gravelly texture that made the coaches melt. But here's the cliffhanger, the question that has millions debating right now. Leighton won, moving on with Team Reba. That was the official decision. However, what happened next is the real story. When the dust settled, the steel button remained unpressed. Not one coach, not Niall, not Chance, not Michael Bublé used their steel. The internet is currently on fire. Viewers are calling it everything from a tragic mistake to the biggest oversight of the season. The central question is inescapable. How in the world did Manny Costello walk away without a single save? Today we're diving deep into that performance, analyzing the razor-thin margins between the two singers, unpacking the coach's comments, and most importantly, seeing why the community believes this was the biggest mistake of this entire battle round. Stick around, because the fan reaction is brutal. We need to acknowledge the sheer difficulty of this track choice. Chris Stapleton's music demands authenticity, grit, and raw storytelling. This wasn't a safe choice. This was a declaration of intent. When you look at the initial audience feedback, even before the decision, the energy was through the roof. Many expressed that this wasn't just a standard battle, it felt like an arena-level performance. They loved the camaraderie at the end, separating just enough to let those massive vocal moments land. It was dynamic. Let's talk about Leighton. She proved, as Reba noted, that she can conquer any genre. Her voice is inherently piercing, the kind that cuts through a 10-part harmony and makes you listen. Her journey from the audition stage to this level of execution is what impressed the judges most. They felt she had stepped up to another level entirely. Some people feel that her consistency and ability to adapt across genres make her a guaranteed commercial artist, even if her style leans toward the more contemporary country sound. But then there's Manny. This is where the debate truly ignites. While Leighton brought the polished, versatile power, Manny brought the texture. People consistently pointed out his gravelly, rich tone. One viewer perfectly summarized it, saying his voice sounded bluesy, important, and radio-ready. That specific quality, that slight crackle that Reba loved, is something incredibly rare on a competition stage. Many expressed that this performance unlocked a vocal dimension they hadn't fully heard from him before. The common feeling shared online is that if Leighton was the perfect contestant, Manny was the instant recording artist. It's a classic voice conundrum, the perfect fit for the coach versus the undeniable unique talent. The coaches themselves were paralyzed. This wasn't a clear blowout. This was a toss-up. Blake, or in this case, the other coaches acting as our proxy, voiced the ultimate dilemma. If I were Reba, I'd be torn. One coach admitted they'd lean Leighton for her versatility, but then confessed a personal weakness for Manny's unique crackle. That quote, "I don't know. It's a great problem for you to have, Miss McEntire," perfectly captured the mood of everyone watching at home, and then came the humorous turn when Blake, or whoever, pointed out Manny's uncanny resemblance to Jimmy Fallon. Manny's response, citing that he gets Ellen DeGeneres too, brought necessary levity. While funny, this comparison actually speaks to an underlying point some fans made. Manny has a warm, accessible charisma that connects instantly, regardless of the song choice. But the critical moment came in Reba's final analysis. She praised both immensely, noting Manny's little gravelly grit, but ultimately, she said she chose Leighton because she felt she could help her rise to the occasion with challenging songs moving forward. This statement, while professional, fueled the fire among viewers. Many people felt that Manny didn't need the development. He was ready now. We saw tons of feedback suggesting Reba might have a soft spot for certain vocal types, and perhaps Manny's unique sound wasn't what she prioritized for her final slot. A recurring sentiment expressed by the community was, her voice is beautiful, but his just hits different. This is the core of our mystery. Leighton won. Reba made her choice. The microphone turns to the other coaches, and the silence of the unpressed steel button reverberates. The audience reaction was visceral. We saw an overwhelming wave of disbelief. Phrases like, "I can't believe no one saved him," and "What is wrong with y'all if they have a comeback artist this season, he's the one," dominated the discussion threads. One viewer said, "I would buy Manny's record tomorrow." A testament to the immediate marketability of his sound. Why didn't a steal happen? Let's analyze the possibilities based on fan theory. The risk factor. Stealing is high stakes. A coach might have felt that while Manny was incredible, he was too specialized in that bluesy rock texture, making it harder to fit him into their existing team dynamic or their vision for the knockouts. They might have opted to save their steal for a more versatile singer later. The Reba effect. Sometimes, a coach is so emotionally invested in the battle winner that they feel the loser must go home for the integrity of the result, even if they loved the performance. They might have felt Leighton was the clear winner for Reba, and therefore, a steal would be disrespectful to Reba's difficult decision. The competition level. Perhaps the other coaches were simply that impressed with their own teams, or they saw other battles that day that convinced them Manny wasn't their absolute top priority for a steal slot. However, for the majority of the audience, these reasons fall flat. They felt that a voice as distinctive as Manny's, one that someone declared was better than the girl and unique compared to 1,000 country singers, should have immediately warranted a button push. The collective disappointment was palpable, leading to the passionate rallying cry seen across every platform. "Bring Manny back!" While the primary emotion is anger over the elimination, we can't ignore the fun moments that kept the overall community engagement high. The Jimmy Fallon comparison, for instance, brought a moment of self-aware humor. When Manny confirmed he gets compared to him daily, it showed his own ability to roll with the punches, a quality that makes for a great star. We also heard a few analysts suggest that Manny's unique sound, while appreciated, might have been slightly too much grit for the specific song choice, leading Reba to favor Leighton's clean power. But the overwhelming counter-argument from the community remains. That grit is his signature. One fan even suggested his vibe was like Paul Rogers in a Bad Company biopic. That is high praise for a raw, bluesy delivery. The key takeaway from all this noise is that Manny Costello made a massive impact in a short time. He wasn't just good. He was memorable. In a show where being forgotten after one performance is the biggest fear, Manny ensured he will be talked about long after the episode aired. So, did Reba make the biggest mistake? From a purely emotional, viewer-driven perspective, the resounding answer seems to be yes. The demand to bring him back, whether through a comeback twist or a future steal, is almost unprecedented in the comments we reviewed. People recognized a special, distinct talent that they were emotionally invested in seeing advance. Leighton deserved her win for the battle performance. No doubt, but Manny's exit felt like a loss for the entire season's potential flavor. The fact that his voice resonated so strongly that viewers are ready to buy his album today proves he won the battle for our attention, even if he lost the battle for Team Reba. This is why we watch. These are the moments that spark conversation, drive clicks, and define a season. Now, we need to know what you think. We want the definitive community opinion. Who was the real winner of this performance in your eyes, Leighton or Manny? If you were a coach, would you have used your steal on Manny? Why or why not? What song should Manny sing if or when he gets a comeback opportunity? Drop your take in the replies below. Hit that like button if you were also screaming at your TV when that steal button stayed dark, and subscribe for more deep dives into the most controversial moments on The Voice. We'll see you in the next analysis.